I want to begin with the housing crisis going on in Buffalo right now. It seems qualitatively different than in the past. Erie County is the second highest county in New York State for evictions. Usually it's 6th or 7th. Right now, we're right behind Brooklyn, Kings County. And Erie County exceeds Manhattan, Queens, and the Bronx for evictions, which are much more densely populated. So one of my questions is why, and why are most of those evictions are happening here in the city? And the next question, that I want to piggyback on that, is the surge in rent. I'm not sure if you saw the USA Facts table, but the rent has increased in Erie County 11.6% since lockdown. In Rochester and Monroe County, it was 6%. And if you go down to Nassau County, downstate, it's only 1.8% increase in rent. So why is Western New York absolutely off the charts in the entire state for the surge in rent? So I'm going to turn it over to India and Rawa to answer that question and then go to Kenyanga.
Good evening, everybody. I think that the biggest part of the problem is that we have spineless and weak leadership that caves to developers and real estate industry. In other parts of the state and in the country, we see some sort of tenant protections, warrants of habitability are enforced, rental inspections are enforced. We don't see those things happening here. They are on the books, and they are not implemented. I think another thing is wild speculation. Lots of out-of-town investors buy properties sight unseen and set rent prices that the market does not bear, where we've seen rises in rents and costs of living all across the board. We've not seen wages keep up with that. In fact, Western New York was carved out of the increase in minimum wage at the state level. So I think that it really begins and ends in a lot of cases with failed leadership.
So to add to what India just so eloquently spoke about, there's also been, over the last 20 years or so, this move back into cities, right? And so one of the things that I like to say about the legacy of colonialism and the legacy of slavery in this country is they get you on the way out and they get you on the way in. What we saw decades ago that created a donut hole in Buffalo is that there was this incredible move out to the suburbs, right? And that's where all of the investment, that's where all of the jobs went. And you created things like the Robert Moses Highway, where it was easy, you come in, you work in the city, you get home as quickly as you can. Left a donut hole and an incredible amount of disinvestment in the city of Buffalo, where right now we have 43% of the population as being black, so we're a minority city with all of our immigrants and refugees. And what that did over a 40-year decline is created huge disinvestment in the housing stock. Buffalo has the second oldest housing stock in the country. And so it's pretty inexpensive to buy a lot of this land, so they let it, really just fall into disrepair and disinvestment, while they enjoyed all of the benefits of not being around black folks and folks of color and poor working class people in the city of Buffalo and moved out in the suburbs. Well, now there's this tremendous move to want to move into the city, and it's no wonder why we have elected officials that, because it's always, about profits at the end of the day, where they allowed all of these developers. So we've had huge development over the last 10 years, and it's creating an incredible amount of gentrification in our communities and a huge amount of displacement of working class and BIPOC folks. And what they're doing is they're getting all kinds of subsidies, right? Federal subsidies, tax dollars to build all of this housing that right now is kind of vacant, but it's all market rate housing. And the mayor, in his second term at the State of the City address, said his goal was to build 2,000 units of market rate housing every single year. We did not have say how many affordable units, subsidized housing, or other kinds of spectrum of housing for the folks that were already living in the city, what was available to them, right? And so I think that it is intentional. And so what they're doing is they're building the housing in Buffalo with these really escalating rent prices and market rate for the people that are going to be moving out of the suburbs and back into the city.